All right, now we are going to spend some time on defense mechanisms. There are many, many defense mechanisms. I'm going to cover some of the key ones that I really think you should know and that I would focus on. So, the first is compensation. This is where an individual would focus on their strengths as opposed to their perceived weaknesses. So, for example, a student who struggles academically may focus on their sports instead, or vice versa. Someone who struggles with sports may focus on their academics. So they are compensating for a perceived weakness. Then we have displacement. This is where someone transfers their feelings from one target to another. So if someone's like really angry about a certain situation and they come home and take it out on their spouse and like yell at their spouse, they are displacing their anger. So that is displacement. Then we have repression and suppression. Repression is the subconscious blocking of unpleasant feelings, and suppression is the conscious blocking of unpleasant feelings. So, our little hint for how to remember the difference: with repression, which starts with RE, you don't realize you are doing it, which also starts with RE. Splitting is another defense mechanism that I would absolutely know for your exam. So, this is where an individual fails to recognize the positive and negative attributes in a person. There's like no gray area. That nurse is amazing and the best nurse ever, and that nurse is the worst human being in the world. That is an example of like splitting behavior. The splitting defense mechanism is common in borderline personality disorder. And I would definitely remember that. Okay, sublimation. This is where an individual has unacceptable impulses that they transform into socially acceptable behaviors. So if someone got really angry at work, instead of coming home and displacing that anger on their spouse, if they went to the gym and like hit a punching bag, that would be sublimation. So the way I remember this one, if you look at sublimation, it starts with sub. You are substituting an acceptable behavior, such as punching the bag instead of screaming at your spouse. Okay, and then the last one I would definitely know is undoing. This is where an individual attempts to cancel out an unacceptable behavior. So if a boss was like really harsh on an employee and then afterwards kind of felt bad about being so mean and harsh, and then they go out of their way to be like overly nice to that nurse, then they are trying to undo their previous behavior. So that is undoing, and that is another important defense mechanism that I would be familiar with.